What's up, guys? Brett from Rants here. As always, if y'all enjoy our content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Today, we're going to be talking about a little something that's been going around Screen Rant a little bit. Try to stay a little bit familiar when it comes to Screen Rant, mainly because I write for them. But there's a little something that come up, and it involves Lovecraft Country creator and showrunner Misha Green expressing interest in a 7-season TV show of Stephen King's It. Now, I don't know if I'm a big fan of this. I'll just tell you my view on Lovecraft Country. I thought it started off strong. I thought it started off great. I thought it did a great blend of mixing in 1950s racism and then horror in the first one episode. One episode. I thought it did that. The rest of it, the horror took a back seat, which doesn't really shock me because it is a Peele kind of production. He's not really what I would call a great producer. I wouldn't even go so far to say he is a great director. I feel like he should stick to comedy. I liked him on Key and Peele. I feel like his horror movies try to be a little bit too more unique. But they always, they just always come off so bland. That's the way Lovecraft Country felt for me for most of the season. Now, here on Rants or Us, I did do some episode reviews, but I think I got to like episode 7, and then I was like, screw it, I can't take this anymore. So I just completely and totally just abandoned the whole thing completely because, I don't know, I just wasn't feeling it. I enjoyed some of the characters. I enjoyed Letty. I enjoyed Tick to a certain extent. I loved Letty, actually. I thought Letty was actually a really interesting character. I like Montrose, too, but I like the guy that plays Montrose. I don't know. I know it's kind of petty, but I guess the one thing that kind of turned me off of this show was its soundtrack. I thought its soundtrack started off, it really gave the 1950s vibe at the very few episodes, but it seemed like as the show went on, it started trying to get more of a modern feel to it and a modern soundtrack, and it just didn't coalesce with the 1950s, what was happening in the 1950s at least. It was a little too heavily on racism. I get it's Lovecraft Country, but I felt like they were too heavy on the racism and not enough of the horror that went along with it. Now, as a series about racism, fine, it would probably been a pretty good show, but trying to mix in the horror and the racism, to me, it just didn't work. But anyways, Green recently revealed her love for King's It. During an interview with THR while discussing a potential Lovecraft Country Season 2 and her intent to bring more people of color to the horror genre, when asked about rebooting Cleopatra's Jones, Green also expressed interest in adapting King's It into a 7-season TV show. That is, oh man. I don't think there's enough there. I know it's a 1,000-page book, but I don't think there's enough there in that. This is what she says. She says, I'm still very excited. I'm still very excited about making Cleopatra Jones a female black Bond, but I would love to do a limited series of Stephen King's It. It's my favorite novel of all time, but it's such a such a thick book that you need time to sit with every character and really get into their fear. You could do a 2-hour movie, but imagine a 7-season It. And something with vampires. We need new vampires. What? What? Okay. That, I'm definitely not for this now. I'm definitely not for it. I want nothing to do with anything that this woman is selling. Because they're going to make it into like a, what was it, True Blood? That was on HBO. They're going to try to make it into something like that if it was ever greenlighted. They're going to try to make it into where you have all these different kinds of things coming in and out, and it's going to be less about it than it's going to be the creature than it is going to be about, I don't know, racial injustice, different kinds of vampires. Because let's face it, you are not going to find, even though it is a 1,000-page book, it is not enough there to go that long. You can maybe go one season on it, but man, I felt like the new It movies were really pushing their luck towards the end. Like, I felt like they had hit everything that they could at that point. I liked the movies to a certain extent. Still a big fan of the old ones. Maybe because the old ones, I don't know. I guess you could say maybe the newer ones were a little bit scarier, but I wouldn't really call those movies scary. As a kid, I was horrified a bit. And I guess I got some kind of nostalgic feel for it. I still enjoy watching that movie today. I don't really like rewatching the newer It movies. But overall, I mean, I think Misha Green is out of her mind, is what I think. Because I just do not see how she thinks that you could make this 7 seasons long. Like, they're just, oh man. They would add so much to that. I'm telling you, it would be less about the monster, It, and more about all this other stuff that's happening in the world. And, of course they would have to add different monsters for the kids to face. It would be like a really, really bad version of, I don't know, Stranger Things. Like a 1950s version of Stranger Things mixed with True Blood. That's what this show would be. It would be grasped, by the time it got to its 7th season, it would be completely different than anything that Stephen King, it would butcher it. It would literally butcher it. I'm not a fan of like I said, I'm not a huge fan of Lovecraft Country. I felt like Lovecraft Country was more into getting into what is happening now than it was actually exploring what was happening then. Because there was a lot of things that was supposedly it was, it was, and it did, like in the first episode, did a great job of exposing the racism in 1950s. But then after that, it's just like, I saw so many modern day feels towards it. Like they were trying to push a narrative. And it just got, it's like the whole series just got completely lost. Like it wasn't it wasn't I don't know, it wasn't linear. It was like really each episode deals with a completely different thing, and somehow that was supposed to tie into the thing. I felt like the bad guys were lacking. I felt like Atticus, which was supposed to be the main protagonist of it, was completely and totally overshadowed by Letty. Like, Letty took over the show and never relented. She was by far the best character. Montrose was decent, but the one episode that just really irked me was the episode where, I don't know, they hinted at him being gay at the very first couple episodes and things, and that would have been a great storyline to push further into it. See his conflict inside and see all that stuff. But then it's just like all of a sudden, you don't really know where his conflict is coming from. You don't know if it was because he was, gay in 1950s America and as black men, or you don't know if it's because of what's going on with his son, or if it's just a mixture of all that. And it combined it all into this big, I don't know, ball of confusion for me. And I just completely got lost in his character when he started. I don't know. It became more on that than it did on the relationship he had with his son and the him coming to terms with who he was as a gay black man in 1950, or in the 1950s. So to me, that show was lacking. Misha Green would completely destroy. And if she did anything with Bad Robot or Peel or anybody else, like, I just feel like she would just completely butcher it. I pray she doesn't go through with this. I pray they do not go through with this, because if that's something that she's wanting to do, Bad Robot would probably, they'd probably be all for producing some garbage like that. Whether fans would watch it, fans would probably watch it, but let's face it, I think fans now are kind of used to garbage, and they kind of accept the good, the bad, and they don't necessarily complain about trying to make it better, because every time you complain about making it better, it always turns into some crazy thing about, well, you don't like it because you're a this, or you don't like it because you're that. Sometimes you just don't like it because it sucks. That's just the case. It just sucks. Star Wars sucks now. Not because of Rey. It's because the whole cast sucked. I don't remember anything about it that I want to remember, because it was just so terrible. I want to just forget everything that come in my mind. Well, I kind of felt that way with Lovecraft Country. I felt like it just did a really terrible job of expressing, of making the characters more believable and likable. Like I said, I love Stephen King's It. Don't want him to do this. Let me know. Let me know. I'm actually curious. Leave a comment down below if you disagree or agree with me, whatever. Leave a comment. I want to know what fans' reaction to this would actually be, and if people would actually be for this. I am 100% against it. As always, guys, y'all take care.